I'm Kathy Johnson. I live in Castle Rock. I have considered myself a Farmington resident for 48 years. I got the Farmington Current this week, and here on page 9 is the trout fishing in the Vermilion River, which is a gem of a river, truly it is, that flows through Farmington. And it's one of the few designated trout streams in Dakota County. I think you may not be aware it's even more distinctive than that, in that from my research, there's only 2 naturally breeding trout streams that are close to metropolitan areas in the United States, and the Vermilion is one of them. And it's a great recreational opportunity for Farmington residents. Much of the river has public access. Where I live on the south, close to the South Branch, I see cars parked down there in the season, fishermen. They won't be able to do it in the future, though, because it'll be fenced in, because the South Branch of the Vermilion flows right through the data center property. To me, it seems kind of ironic that the city promotes the Vermilion River as the only designated trout stream in Dakota County, big asset, but it will get damaged, as it has happened in other communities that have had data centers constructed close to waterways. And I know Tract promises otherwise, but that's not the reality. That's happened in many situations. And plus, it'll be fenced, so the section where I see people fishing, they won't be able to walk there to fish at all because they can't get on the other side of the fence. It just seems to me like I don't want to end up like Hanover, Virginia, where Tract is building a huge data center. They drained wetlands, and then they exchanged that by purchasing land to other places to make up for that wetlands. Well, if you drain wetlands, as will happen during the construction or the dewatering during building a foundation, for example, that will affect the river. Explain to the trout why the river's dried up. Oh, come back in 2 or 3 months when the construction's over. We don't want to be like Beaver Creek, Wisconsin, where a data center is causing the streams that runs through their neighborhoods to go from dry to flooding in the yards, according to what's going on at the data center. Through my contacts with Trout Unlimited, I found out that the South Branch is the branch where the natural breeding of trout takes place. The North Branch is stocked. And so what you're doing is taking a federally, I don't know about the laws of protection, but as I understand it, it's a protected river. You are destroying one of the great assets of our city. I mean, Rambling River Park is named after this river, and you are, promoting it in your magazine. So what are you going to say to the residents in the future? Whoops, sorry you came to Farmington, because we don't have that great asset in our river anymore. The 100-year flood setback on the property was designed to protect the buildings from flooding during the potential of a flood, and 3 100-year floods have happened in the last 2 decades. Where's the ordinance or the statute that protects the river from the buildings? There isn't one, and 100 years flood back isn't going to do it. In my last minute and a half, there's a call to action that's on the Farmington Coalition for Responsible Data Center Development website. If you go with Farmington, that's our private, not our public site. The call to action encourages citizens to call 4 people about a moratorium, which would be a wonderful piece of legislation to protect, slow down the state, and let the legislature get ahead of the rapid push for data centers to come here when there's almost no parameters to protect us, our homes and our environment. You can call Governor Walz, the Senate Majority Leader Aaron Murphy, the House Majority Leader Zach Stevenson, and including our own Representative Drew Roach, and encourage them to support the moratorium on data centers. It's a very, very important piece of legislation. Thank you.
My name is Mark Pearson. I live on 225th Street in Castle Rock Township. I want to raise some long-term planning concerns about the proposed data center project. My concern is not about the technology itself, but about whether we may be committing permanent land use to infrastructure whose underlying storage technology is likely to change dramatically over time. To understand the scale of these facilities, it helps to understand why modern data centers contain so many drives. Hard drives and storage devices fail regularly at large scale. When you operate hundreds or thousands of drives, failures happen every single day. Because of that, data centers are designed so that when one drive fails, the system can rebuild the missing data. They do this through redundancy. In some cases, the data is stored 3 times. The important point is that a large portion of the hardware inside modern data centers exists specifically so that the system can rebuild storage devices when they fail. Researchers are currently developing extremely dense archival storage systems using 5-dimensional crystal storage, also called laser-written quartz glass. A single 5D quartz drive can store hundreds of terabytes of data on a drive roughly the size of a current portable hard drive. And the storage system is stable for billions of years, unless it falls into a volcano. The future storage systems could achieve far higher density in a fraction of the physical space currently required. If this trend continues over the next 5 years, the space required for a data center like this could shrink dramatically, potentially cutting land use requirements in half or more every few years. As the need for physical space decreases, operators are likely to stop operating certain centers or relocate data to fill their remaining facilities efficiently. This could leave our community with farmland permanently converted for a facility whose scale may no longer be necessary, while they move data elsewhere or require concessions to continue operating. This raises an important question for our community. If the physical footprint needed for storage continues to shrink, are we committing farmland to a facility that may require far less land than anticipated? And what assumptions are we making about tax revenue? Within a few years, the operators of this facility may be in a position to demand concessions or incentives to keep it here, because the land is already developed, but the need for such a large facility will be shrinking. When we make decisions that permanently change the landscape of our community, it's critical to consider not just today's technology, but the trajectory of the industry over the past 20 years, and where it's likely to go in the next decade. History shows that storage systems continue to grow denser and more efficient at an astonishing rate, a fact that should factor in heavily into any decision about rezoning agricultural land for a project of this scale. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff Schottler, 22420 Calico Court, Farmington. Couldn't be here at your last council meeting. I'm glad half my neighborhood showed up and spoke. I hope you guys listen to them. I know you're sick of listening to me. Some won't even look up when I come up here. It's interesting. Pick your fights, pick your battles. You've picked one with your residents and you're supporting it against your residents. You're at a point in the process where if you change your ordinance, you change anything, they built in 8-year terms into their development agreements. Whatever you change, it's not going to change this project. You've now got the choice of fighting with your residents forever or fighting with Tract. Who's going to make you uncomfortable? Who's going to sit at the gas stations with you? Who's going to be sitting in the bleachers next to you at the sporting games? Who do you have to deal with forever? And it's not going to be forever. What do you guys got? 8-9 months before the next election? People are supporting us. They're not supporting what you're doing because they're not going to support it when you do it to them. They're not going to support this in their yards. They're not going to put up with it. We're the first step. If you continue to do it to us, they know it's going to happen in every other chunk of land available. Do you think Lennar is going to want to build a second phase of their development when you put a data center right next to it? Because that's what happened with our neighborhood. Within a year of the last home being built in our neighborhood, you proposed this. Do you think that Lennar would accept that? I don't think they would. Well, why are we supposed to accept it? The deviation from the comp plan, come back out to my house. Go to Meta again, take a look at it, and then come back out to my house. Come sit in my yard again. All of you besides Jake, you weren't, sorry, no names, you weren't here yet. Come to my house. Come take a look at it. Come have these conversations with me. I had a 21-minute conversation with somebody from the developer today. They called me, unscheduled, unannounced. They called me. You guys ain't called me. This is my 26th time standing here. Why aren't you here to work for the people that voted you in? The same people that are going to vote you out. What's the point in fighting with us? How uncomfortable does it need to get? Are you waiting for us to become mentally unstable? Are you waiting as this project grows for our aggression to grow, for our anxiety to grow? I mean, what are we waiting for to make a difference? You've been advised not to talk. I've been advised not to talk. I'm sure Tract was advised not to talk. You're our elected officials. Figure something out. Come talk to us. Make something happen. It's only going to get worse from here on out. It's only gonna affect you guys as much as it affects us. And do you think that we're gonna sit here and be pushed out of our homes and not have permanent hard feelings towards each and every person that supports this? And staff, you're involved in this too. When you've got an entirely new council and mayor up here, how appreciative do you think they'll be of some of the things that are being done to us as residents? We residents make up this town. We are Team Farmington. My daughter goes to this school. My wife works in Castle Rock. Half my day is spent in Farmington. We are part of Farmington. Treat us like it. We deserve to be here. Till then, it's only gonna get worse. You know, it's getting worse for us right now. We had tree surveyors there the other day. Got to have a good conversation. It's not to see what they can save for trees. It's to get a quote to clear cut this place. They're not looking to see what they can save. Now we've got no trespassing signs there, 2 feet by 3 feet. Says we're daily patrols. We're under 24/7 surveillance. And these are in residential. It's just starting. As their aggression grows and this development progresses, so will ours. You're pushing us out of our homes and you're putting us into a place where we don't feel safe anymore. So do better.
Thank you, Jeff.
Nancy Arstead, Castle Rock. First, water, that tired topic I brought up last time. I have 4 questions, please. First, you keep saying you don't worry about the water. This data center project won't affect the water. Will you publicly guarantee that? Publicly guarantee that our wells and nearby farming irrigation systems will not be harmed. In writing and publicly, will you guarantee? 2, if my well starts pulling up sludge, what exactly is the plan for that? Who do I call at 5 a.m. on a Tuesday if or when my water turns brown or black? One of you? Or are you going to immediately fix the problem and pay for the damage? Or are we going to end up suing the city just like our neighbors south of us are doing? Long and painful and unfair. 3, will you guarantee that the Vermilion River or trout stream will not be harmed by the dewatering, the groundwater pumping, construction runoff? Will you publicly provide a guarantee to this city and to the fish? You are the RGU. It is on you. 4, if our wells fail, are you 3 willing to open up your homes so we can all come to your places and take clean showers and wash clothes until our wells are fixed? I'm very serious. If the risk is acceptable for us, that should be an easy promise for all of you. Then I will know where to go at 5 a.m. when my water turns brown and my family needs to take showers. Now to address Team Farmington. First, this is not directed at the council member who used that phrase. That council member was our lone voice of reason up there, and I am grateful for him. He is in a tough spot. But I saw Team Farmington all over your Currents magazine. It is such a hypocritical phrase, so easily tossed around and needs to be addressed. My son-in-law serves in special forces. He knows what a real team is. They move and work together as one unit. If one teammate goes down, everyone moves to protect him. He is willing to risk his life for his teammates. No one is left behind, no one is sacrificed. That is a team. In Farmington, you chose to become a team with Tract. You have been the opposite of a team with your residents. You sacrifice thousands of people on the east side of town. We pay the price for the perceived benefits of others. That's opposite of a team. One of you up there admitted this in an email to staff the day he voted yes, November 4th, 2024. He wrote, "Legacy. This is a decision in which there are winners and there are losers. We cannot escape that fact, and to pretend like people aren't going to be impacted is to improperly invalidate those residents' concerns. But the question has been posed at one point at how we wanted this decision to be viewed in terms of our overall legacy as mayor and as council. I believe this question was intended to drive us against being in favor of this project, but it has had the opposite effect on me. 10 years from now, I refuse to look back at this decision and say I had an opportunity to help the city and begin fixing a problem that a vast majority of our residents have been voicing for years, but more importantly, to help my children have a better education and future opportunities, and I was not willing to do it." Think about what that means. That's not a team. That's not, I will risk my life for yours. That is, I'm willing to risk your life and your quality of life for me and mine. That is the exact opposite of a team. Completely opposite. Another email from one of your city staff said to the other, quote, "Let's go data center dollars in a grocery store. We should get statues." She wanted statues, expecting glory while ignoring the suffering being imposed on others. That is not a team. Team Farmington is a fake, false phrase that hides selfishness. That is why we scoff at it. I just needed to explain that. Please do not extend the plat for Tract in May. Make them renegotiate, amend the PUD, fix the MUSI code so projects like this go in industrial areas, not next to people's homes. Right now, your legacies will not be remembered as Team Farmington, rather that you were willing to abandon and sacrifice your residents for yourselves and for others. Not a team. Thank you.
Terry Pearson, 2475 225th Street South, Castle Rock. Okay, I got the Farmington, the glossy brochure, and it talks about water efficiency rebate grants. It talks about tips to conserve groundwater. It talks about landscaping for clean water, city drinking water report, odd even water restrictions, adopt a pond, monitor wetlands. We have been talking about that for the past 2 years. We're very concerned about water, and I believe we're being treated like, what is the phrase? Redheaded stepchildren. Please listen to us.
Hi, good evening, council members. Not to beat a dead horse, but let's do it anyways. I live on 3054 224th Street in Farmington. We're in Executive Estates. As many of my neighbors have said before, this has been a very frustrating situation for us, and we feel like we're not being heard. It's just kind of tough. I come here to speak every once in a while, and I have kind of a moral dilemma because I am in construction, I am an electrician, I have built these things before, so it has financially benefited me to do this, but at the same time, when you have buildings of this scale being built next to houses, it's just not okay, and I understand that we're in the middle of a lawsuit, so you guys are kind of tied, hand-tied and whatnot, so we can't really make decisions on this, but we got to keep hammering this point home to you guys that this isn't okay, and we just got to do better. I'm just also kind of curious with these comments that we are making or whatnot, like, why don't we ever really hear a response from you guys? I understand that this is an open input from us, can you guys at least communicate to the citizens through a Facebook page or whatnot? I shouldn't have to go seek this information out on the Farmington's city website. This type of stuff, speaking of transparency with the other people, that would help greatly in terms of you guys just communicating certain things to us in a more open platform. Thank you for your time.
Mayor and Council, Nate Ryan, good citizen of Farmington. Just a few things I'd like to mention to you today. So I've been up here, maybe as many times, maybe less, maybe more times as Jeff. It's been a long time. When I first started coming here, I really talked about zoning. And I've said it before, and for some reason people don't understand, but I'm just going to say this again. I am not against data centers. I see the useful impact that they can have for the city of Farmington. I see the tax revenue that they can get. What I am specifically against is the rezoning of this property. I think that's the biggest issue that all of you face. But I don't just come and just complain or bitch. I bring solutions. We talked about a moratorium. We've talked about that many times before. And that is a way out. So much so that Dakota County in April is going to be hosting specifically around data centers and talking about that at the county level. I think it would be great for anyone here or anyone online watching to go and attend those sessions and talk with Dakota County about those, and get in contact with your county commissioner. If you don't have any idea who that is, I'm frankly not surprised, but they are hosting these sessions, and I think that would be a very good thing. One of the main reasons that I've been scratching my head, just like, why won't they listen to this whole moratorium thing? Why can Egan do it, but Farmington, quote unquote, can't or won't? And it's not because you're in a lawsuit. You can do a moratorium and be in a lawsuit. You don't have to choose one or the other. And with that is I think that in preparing for something else, I came across what Jeff was talking about, and specifically that section, it's number 5 in the development agreement. And that number 5 states that the land use controls sit as is for 8 years. When I was researching and kind of understanding that, I was working on a session to testify in front of the Minnesota House Committee, and that was against NDAs for municipalities. If y'all hadn't signed that NDA, specifically staff hadn't signed that NDA, and those documents would be publicly available. You have to get them out there Thursday, I think, before your council meeting. If those things would have been publicly available, and we could have talked about those things because it was on the agenda, so we weren't supposed to talk about it during public comments, and we could have talked about those things, I think that this conversation might be different. And I think that you might actually be looking at a possibility of a moratorium. My guess is that your attorney, and attorneys are like, listen, you signed number 5. Like, you did that. You signed those things. And that's, if you did a moratorium, even if you did it because you signed number 5, that project wouldn't be impacted. And you have hundreds of years of experience, I've been told, with your staff. If all that experience was there, then why the heck did they suggest that you sign that particular statement? That number 5 in that developer agreement is a problem. And it's a problem because the solutions that, no matter what any of us bring, you're stuck. And maybe your staff got out negotiated. Maybe they overlooked it. And I'm not here to point fingers. What I'm here to say is, gosh darn, how can we move forward and resolve the zoning issue? A few things around that zoning issue with mixed use, commercial, industrial, some of those things, one of the biggest things in, this fallacy that there's not going to be hundreds of generators. Well, sure there are, hundreds. Then the largest commercial generator available today, so there's 750 megawatts, produces 3 megawatts under like 95% load, 3. I'm not super good at math, but if I take 250 or even 200 and divide it by 3, or take 700, because it's going to be 705 megawatts, and divide it by 3, that's a problem. And that's hundreds and hundreds of generators. So it's not like we're just pulling these facts out of thin air or some type of fallacy. These are the things. And then where are you going to put the stuff? Where are you going to put the stuff being diesel fuel that's needed to store this? And is that allowed under mixed use commercial industrial? Outdoor storage is not allowed under mixed use commercial industrial. It is under industrial. But where are you going to put literally hundreds, thousands gallons of diesel fuel? So that is an issue. And I think that there are ways out of this if you truly want to get out of them. If you truly want to think, let's just take a step back. I have more to say.
Thank you, Nate.